All right. I am here with an amazing guest right here. I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell you why he is actually here and what's he doing here. Floor is yours.
My name is LaDale Buggs, guys, and I'm 44 years old, born and raised in East Texas. And right now I reside in Dallas, Texas. I moved when I was 3 years old here and hadn't left yet. So I love Texas. I'm a Texas boy, born and bred. I'm in the real estate development and finance as well as private equity. The finance portion is private equity. And what I do is I buy a lot of real estate, whether it be single family residence, apartment complexes, some commercial, depending on what season or how the market is going in the commercial industry. We like to buy them low, below wholesale, increase the value, and of course, cash flow. I love cash flow. And I love combining private equity with real estate or just invest in private equity into growth companies. We do a little seed capital, but not that much, but we love growth companies. So that's what I kind of do.
So one thing I'm super curious about, right? There's no college degree in private equity yet, I don't think, right? There's no
No.
high school diploma in private equity. So it gets me curious. How did you actually get started into this entire kind of world of real estate investing, private equity, and all of that, really? What did that look like for you?
Good question, man. When I was 17 years old, my uncle Gary, who still lives to this day, introduced me to a term called residual income. And I said, Uncle, what is that? And he said, something that you get do one time, but you get paid over and over again. And I said, why am I going to school for a diploma? I want to learn how to do that. And so what I began to do as I was going to school, because I do have a college degree, I began researching business models that generate a passive or cash flow or residual income. Cash flow is the most powerful word in business. So I began to look at those business models. So I'm on to real estate and private equity. And then I began to invest in real estate when I was in college. First deal that I actually did, I made $3,500. As for those that are in college, that's big time when you're in college because you broke. You broke. So most of that, the drinks were on me that night. Went out, had a good little time. The next deal was $10,000, then $26,000, and so on and so forth. And now own $7 million worth of real estate, whether it be commercial, multifamily, and single family residences.
And so you're originally from Texas. Are all of your kind of real estate investments in Texas, or have you
Oh
kind of
no. Only nationwide. We have some in Texas, looking at Oklahoma, Mississippi, Florida, looking at Louisiana as well, Arkansas, North Carolina. I've invested nationwide. Yeah.
So I was actually at a boys trip a few months back to Miami, and we were
Okay.
talking. One of them was working for a real estate investor. It was a commercial investor at the time,
Mhm.
and he had kept all of his investments in Northern California. And I asked him, why does he do that when you can have there's so many other states? And we kind of talked about that. So I'm really curious. How do you in your team? I'm assuming you have a team. We can talk more
I
about
do.
it in a
I
minute,
do.
right? But
Mhm.
how do you decide where you want to invest? You're in real estate. Is it a
It
state?
depends on, for me, I am a business model policy type of guy. So if the environment is right for money to flow, because money is a currency, the key with the root word of currency is current. So as long as the money is flowing, it's good. So for me, I'm looking at, okay, what area can I actually invest in to generate a return? So my whole thing is I buy and we hold. We very rarely flip at all because I don't like sharing my profits with Uncle Sam. So for me, I love to cash flow. So typically when it comes to single family residences, I look at a price range of 300,000 and below. Now, why do I do that? It's very simple. That's already at the bottom. So there's a correction coming. So there'll be very little correction there because it's already at the bottom. And it doesn't matter how high the rates go. People can still afford a lease payment there or a mortgage payment there, so to speak. When you get 300,000, 350 and above, that's when you get kind of in the cloudy area because of the fact that's when rates really begin to matter because now that payment goes up and up and up. And when you have the cost of goods going up, cost of services going up, cost of living going up, people begin to make decisions on, do I want to pay a 70% interest rate or do I want to wait till it corrects so I can get down to maybe a 4 or 5% interest rate? So that's what I kind of do. So for me, it's more of what environment does this area invite for me to invest my capital to get a rate of return that I like.
One thing I'm super curious about earlier in the year, I guess last year, I think it was
Mhm.
2021 at the time, or September 2022, I
Mhm.
remember interest rates were like 3%,
Yeah.
2%. And then obviously we had what happened, whereas now you're looking at what, 7, 8, somewhere around there. I think maybe they're
Mhm.
starting to trickle back down. I'm not totally sure. I think you pay a lot more attention to those kind of details because it's
Mhm.
your business, right? Than
Sure.
myself. What do you see happening, especially, and we're recording this as of January 30th, 2024, as of interest rates with the upcoming November election, all these kinds of things. What do you see happening from the business perspective, real estate and interest rates? Is it going to be a great time to buy at a certain point, and what makes that happen?
Well, it depends on, I tell everybody, the Federal Reserve is just a PR agent. That's all they are. They're trying to control the minds of the masses because the backbone of the economy is the middle class. That's really the B and C paper. You have the A paper and you have the D paper, but really the backbone is the B and C paper when it comes to borrowers, all right? And so if the plan is for the money to begin to flow, the natural inclination is to say, okay, they're most likely going to begin cutting rates, because it's an election year. People don't want to lose their jobs, unfortunately. And people should be losing their jobs because they suck at what they're doing a lot of the times. But it is what it is. What they'll do is I kind of see them beginning to cut the rates a little bit. I'm not talking about like a 2 or 3% rate cut. I'm talking about maybe a quarter point here, quarter point there, because they're trying to control the habits of the borrower. They're trying to get money off of the sidelines. Now, for me, that's a bad move because of the fact that the one thing that the borrower does not see is what's driving this is the bond market or the T-bill market. The treasury bill and the bond market is crashing. Well, how do I know that? I'm gonna give everybody kind of a little bit of crash course on the Federal Reserve real fast. Is whenever the banks go and get money from the Federal Reserve, there's a window called the discount window. Now, what is that? A discounting window was kind of in the past the walk of shame when the bank's balance sheet is looking pretty bad. So let's say, for instance, a regional bank walks into the Federal Reserve and they go discount bank, you'll see someone like a Citibank or Bank of America say, did you see bank of so-and-so go to the discount window? Oh, something's going on there. So that's kind of walk of shame. Now, is it that now? No, because the Federal Reserve just changed their criteria and they're forcing any bank, small, medium, regional, or big bank, to have to go to the discount window. Now, why would they do that for? It's very simple. They want to hide from the consumer that when banks are failing, because they don't want the consumer to begin to withdraw their funds, i.e. with Silicon Valley Bank. Yep. It's getting worse. The T-bill and bond market is crashing because it has to correct itself. So that's why I think it's going to get very interesting. Those that are ready, they actually have the cash or the credit or the joint ventures ready to go, are going to make a massive amount of money.
You mentioned JVs there. You do a lot of real estate investing. Do you invest? What does your kind of partnerships and your team look like that you invest with? Do you take, third-party investments? You have business partners, JVs, or what does that kind of look like for you when you guys make an investment?
Typically, I don't need an outside investment from a individual person. I'm not opposed to it at all, but I don't do that at all. For me, is I'll say, okay, Ryan, you want to invest in real estate? Okay, I'll teach you how to locate a deal, underwrite a deal, or put a deal together. I'll bring the capital unless there's profit share. So I love just to take out all the excuses from anybody and say, okay, let me teach you how to find the deal, but we'll put the deal together and I'll bring the capital to make the deal happen. That's my whole thing. I like JVs in that way. For instance, on the private equity side, we actually had 4 of the largest grocery stores in rural America reach out to us. And they said, hey, we queried our clients that actually come to our grocery stores, our customers, and we asked them, hey guys, would you be opposed to acquiring ammo here in our store? Of course, they said, well, hell no. And they said probably 3 or 3.5%. They said the lion's share of the customers said, we'll buy ammo, no problem. So they reached out to us and said, hey, can you guys put something together to put some type of a way for people to actually acquire ammo? And I just said, why don't you do it? They said, we're in the grocery store business, not in the ammo business. So I said, I understand. So I got my squad together, my private equity. So I said, hey guys, what do we need to do? So we came up with the world's first AI-powered, unattended ammo vending machine. You actually buy ammo in your grocery store. Take 30 seconds. So what happens, Ryan, is you'll go up to the machine, right? And you'll say, I want to buy ammo. And they ask you a question, Ryan, are you 21 years or older? You click yes. So then it gives you a little disclaimer and you press continue. Then what happens is you then pick your ammo, right? You pick what you want to buy. Then they ask you again, Ryan, are you 21 years old or older? And you say, yes, I am. And it says for you to put in your driver's license. You put the driver's license in there and it tells you to look up because there's a camera up there. And it scans your face and asks you to smile because you want to make sure that the person that's actually on the driver's license, the person that's actually acquiring the ammo. Once it's done, boom, you acquire it and you're out. 30 seconds. It's the same technology that TSA uses when you go to the airport. Same technology.
That's so cool. And that private equity group that you guys got together, how did you initially go about building those amazing relationships for deals like that?
Well, to be honest, I actually took a lot of my real estate income and dumped it into there, right? And what happens is I kind of combined the two. I love the leveraging play when it comes to real estate and private equity. I can leverage my own cash or my assets to do partnerships with bankers, institutional lenders as well to say, hey, I want to do this deal, but I'll give you my cash if you give me a good rate of return, right? In exchange for a line of credit of some sort for me to make the investment. When I'm getting a rate of return that's high, I normally average anywhere from 7 to 10% compound interest on someone holding my money, and it may only cost me 3%. Look at the delta there. I'm making 7%. My money is making money for me, whereas I park it for a short period of time. But able to deploy capital as well to generate a 25, 30 to 40%. My minimum rate of return on real estate is 25%. My minimum rate of return. Yeah. Private equity, it's a long-term play. This American Rounds company I'm talking about, the AI-powered vending machine, we're looking at probably a $2 billion valuation in 24 to 36 months.
And you, obviously, you're here, podcast, Speaking to Expand podcast here.
Sure.
You have some experience speaking. What does that look like for you in your life, your career? And I don't want to give any spoilers, but I did some research, some little research before, but I would like to hear from you because I don't want to spoil your.
Oh, no problem, right? I mean, I hope you found some value when you're doing your research on me. Typically, I did some public speaking with my wife. We serve in our marriage ministry at a local church, which is great for us. So we've spoken on stages there. I've spoken at some real estate places as well also. I do have my own podcast called the Counter Move Podcast as well, where we take an issue, right? Whether it be social or political or economic, we kind of unpack the issue, infuse wisdom into the equation, and then prescribe the right solution. That airs on Thursday on all platforms at 8:30 p.m. And at times what I'll do is have an interview series as well for the Counter Move Podcast, where we actually will interview a business titan, a mogul, or a political leader or candidate. And so right now I'm going through that political space right now, which is good. And then also on Fridays, we do Real Estate Friday Training Live. It's free. We actually talk about the current market analysis. Then we respond to what's going on in the market. And then we prescribe a solution right there on the spot. You can implement that exact same second. You can make 5, 10, 20 grand in a month.
And so your experience speaking, let's take the experience with your wife speaking in your local church.
Sure.
What do you feel you've learned from that and those experiences as a speaker that you can see a direct ROI in your business? What does that kind of bridge look like? Or is there not?
Well, there is a bridge. Typically, people don't like to speak publicly a lot of the time. Some do, not all. And for me, I always say money always follows value. Currency flows to value. Sometimes value is me being quiet and saying nothing. Sometimes value is me actually going up and talking. And so when I actually go up and talk, whether it be on a podcast, on the stage, or keynote speak, my whole thing is, all right, Lord, give me the wisdom to present value. And so that's my whole thing. People get so focused on how can I get a rate of return? Very simple. Focus on presenting value. Now, what's value? Understand what the pain points is, right? What the problem may be, and prescribe a solution. That's it. And give the solution away for free. Serve first. Don't seek to be served. Serve first. The first shall be last, and last shall be first. It's very simple. And each time I presented value, I've got a rate of return that's incredible.
And I was reading a book recently. Well, not actually reading it. I was at a Tony Robbins event, and he had talked about how he just published this book, and he had interviewed a lot of private equity folks. And one of them was, I'm forgetting his name, but he's the, I think, CEO or main partner at Vista Capital. You're probably very familiar with.
Yeah.
So just for those out there that, they're just hearing about private equity for the first time, what is private equity investing, and kind of how do you utilize your investment strategy in private equity?
I'll keep it very simple. Private equity is equity, whether it be resources being invested from a private company or entity or person. It's private equity. It's not public equity. Public equity would be the stock market. Is a public equity type of scenario. Private is a little bit different. It's lower tier than venture capital. Right? Venture capital is more of institutional wise. Private equity can be done with a small group or someone personally. If that makes some sense.
And who would you say are the main clients or the main investors in private equity? Is it family offices? Is it anybody that has X amount of capital to deploy, looking to deploy it? Or who does that person that it typically invests in private equity look like?
All the above. Family offices, private capital, some small companies. They'll do it. A lot of small companies don't like the VC model. VCs can be kind of some vultures sometimes. Now, I'm not talking bad about VCs. They're very intelligent. They know what they're doing, right? But VCs, that's more of enterprise level type of capital. Like a Facebook, they got VC money behind them back in the day. Before they even made a profit. People don't understand that when it came to Facebook, they got VC money coming in before they even made a profit. That is possible. Private equity is different. It's more of a personal approach. You get a lot more one-on-one mentorship, typically a lot of the times, which is pretty good. Like on the American Rounds, we partnered with the former owner of the Houston Rockets. He's a part of the board as well also. So we have a lot of people. It's small, and we like to keep it small because we don't want too many hands in the pot. So that's why I really favor private equity. Is I get to kind of touch and feel what's going on with the business, but allow the CEO to do what he needs to do when it comes to his vision.
And how is it normally a company is approached by a private equity firm with an offer, or is it the company reaches out to a private equity firm looking to be purchased, or what does that journey kind of look like?
Both. It really depends on the need of the one seeking the capital and the one that's wanting to give the capital. I've done both.
Okay.
I've seen a company to where it looks great. Hey man, are you guys open to an investment? Yes. Then let's sit down and talk some numbers. Or like with the American Round situation, they reached out to us, and I said, okay, this makes some sense, and we invested the seed capital. That was one of the few things we had invested the seed capital into to get it started. And it's just we'll be in 1,800 stores in about 24 months. It's gonna be pretty crazy, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure, especially at this particular time. You're doing a lot of really high level, really complex stuff.
Sure.
And you seem like you're doing it for a reason, right? It's not just because it's fun. What is the kind of your core why that keeps you going every day through these things? And then that fire, that why that you use, what is the ultimate goal there? You want to get somewhere at some point in business. What do you want to achieve in your business throughout this journey?
Good question. My goal is to be too big to fail, to be so big that because that is what creates opportunities for others. My whole thing is the more money I can help you make, the more money that I actually make. That only happens if you can become too big to fail, right? So that's my ultimate goal because of the fact that a wise man plans for 3 generations. So I'm planning for my kids' kids. So if your solution begins and ends with you, you have failed. And so I have to make it a solution that actually lives beyond me so that it lives after me. And so my ultimate goal is to become too big to fail in real estate and private equity.
Powerful. You mentioned your kids. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 30. What's your family look like?
2 little girls. I've been married for 16 years, to be 17 in March. Till the love of my life. I call her my baby mama with no drama, which is good. 2 little girls, 15 and 11. 15-year-olds about to drive, so pray for me. The 11-year-old's getting into tennis, so pray for me there. She's my athlete. Isabella, she's my athlete. She is super athletic, which is great. Gabby, my oldest, she's my theater. She's my theater girl. She's all in music as well. And my wife, I call her my life. I get up every morning and said, how can I serve you better? And likewise, she said, well, how can I serve you better? So I enjoy getting up and trying to figure out ways to serve my wife. Yeah.
Love it. You hear a lot about, especially when you're team building, which obviously you've built a team here, being a servant leader. And it sounds like you do some of that in your own relationship. What does your team look like? You're doing all these things. You can't be alone. Or maybe you can. I don't know. Let's hear what does your team look like that helps you run all this?
Well, there's a guy by the name of Dan Martell. I actually met him via social media, to be honest with you, about a month and a half, 2 months ago. And he and I have been going back and forth on Instagram, which is pretty good, having great, healthy conversations. And he said something to me and I read his book, Buy Back Time. I'm currently going through it right now.
Yeah.
And he says, billionaires master this. And I understood it, but it kind of makes sense when he actually said it. He said, they fall in love with being incompetent. What does that actually mean? Is they try to create more opportunities for others to free up their time, which was great. And so for me, how I begin to buy back my time when it comes to real estate, you have a closing team, you have a construction team, and you have a deal finding team. Well, I have a great construction team, which is great, headed by Cliff Hunter and James Case. Then of course, I don't mind underwriting a deal. I don't write deals in 5 minutes. So but good deal, great deal, great. So on that side, I'm more involved there because it's fun, love it, which is cool for me. On the private equity side, we have a CEO that handles a lot of that for us, a COO that handles that operations as well. We'll have weekly meetings to say, okay, how's everything going with our investments? And that's pretty fun. And so for me, it's being able to put a team together. It's a small team. I don't like big organizations right now because then I've seen that when it comes to get too big, then you begin to hire more people on, which is fine. But then that seems to sacrifice a lot of customer service. I don't know if you like it, man. You be on the phone line talking to a big corporation, you're going through a phone system. I'm like, man, can I get to somebody to talk to? Good Lord, what's going on? But I'm beginning to see that with those Fortune 1000 companies, customer service has been sacrificed a lot of the time. So I'd much rather say, hey, Ryan, instead of you becoming an employee of mine, hey, let's create an opportunity for you to own your own company. I'll be the capital behind it, man. Let's go build your company for your kids' kids. So for me, I'm more of let me help Ryan build his company versus Ryan become an employee for me. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's powerful. I was at an event called Culture Shifting Miami, and I saw a guy named Edrizio de la Cruz speak, and he was actually the first ever Latino to be accepted to Y Combinator back in 2013.
Okay.
He exited his company to MasterCard about a year ago. And so I'm curious, it gets me thinking, do all of these bigger companies like a MasterCard, do they have a private equity branch that kind of operates for acquisitions, or what does that look like in the bigger Fortune 500 companies?
Some do. A lot of them are publicly traded. So a lot of theirs come through stock market stuff, which is fine. Some do, some don't. But a lot of their money does come through the stock market though. But some do, yeah.
And so you're working in real estate investing. You're a real estate investor. How do you leverage speaking for your real estate investing career? Or if you call it a career, I don't even know.
Simple. I teach people the skills to be successful in real estate. That's it. So if we did a real estate live training last Friday, which is every Friday at 5:00, and we talked about the discount window, which is fine. And then we also talked about pulling rental comps. How do you pull rental comps? We talked about how to pull the comps the correct way, because when it comes to pulling comparables, you have the realtor way and the appraiser way. It just so happens that Cliff Hunter, my head GC, is also a licensed appraiser. So he went down on how to properly pull comparables the right way. People were like, this is great information. So for me, I'm giving away information for free. I'm always asked all the time, Dale, can you train me in real estate? And I said, well, personally, I don't have the time to, but what if I did this for you? We have an on-demand training. Costs $99 a month, but you get unlimited training, all our training. So we teach you how to locate a deal, underwrite a deal, how to market for a deal, how to get it funded, how to put your power team together. It's all right there. It's on-demand training, how you want to. And every single month, we have a VIP call that we actually have with those cash flow club members. And I said, bring your deal. Let's talk to your deal. What you got? Talk to me. What problems are you seeing in the market? Because the market is changing. So as the market changes, so does the information have to change as well at the exact same time. So that's been kind of interesting to see people come together, look at this is a terrible deal because of this, and they get me and Cliff there. So Cliff is bringing an appraisal standpoint, a GC standpoint, and I'm bringing a private equity lender standpoint. We put a deal together, and we even funded as well also.
And let's say on average, how long from the start to the finish of a deal like this? How much time is that normally?
As far as to get a deal funded, I'd say 14 to 21 days.
Gotcha.
It really depends on the state. For instance, Texas has you can close on a property and get it filed with the county the same day electronically. Mississippi, no. You close it, they got to send it to the county in the mail and wait for it to come back in the mail. It's the slowest thing I've ever seen in my life. But it's Mississippi. So 2 different states, 2 different business models. You see which one actually works better. Texas is more fluid than Mississippi.
And for you, you're doing all these kinds of things. How do you fit time into your daily schedule to continue learning? Because if things are moving really quick, to stay up with everything, I know you mentioned you read Buy Back Your Time. But
Sure.
What does that look like? How do you still continue this learning and growing while managing all this at the same time?
Good question. One of the students reached out to me and said, Dale, how can I begin to transfer my money? Because he was saying, thought that money was a solution for me. Now I have the money, but I'm still feeling incomplete. I said, oh, this is simple. You have no vision. Without a vision, perish. So how do you begin to unpack what my vision is? Simple. Transform your mind by reading. I said, how do you begin to read? So I said, do you like reading an actual tangible book or Audible? He said, well, I love Audible. I said, simple. I said, read 10 minutes a day. And I went through the numbers with 10 minutes a day times 7 days a week. That's 70 minutes, right? A week. That times 4 is 280 minutes a month. 280 minutes a month times 12 is 3,360 minutes a year. Divide that by 60, right? That's 56 hours that you've read. How many books? I said typically a book is about 2 hours long. I'm using Audible. Okay, let's take 3,360 minutes, right? Again, divided by 60. So that's 56 hours. I said that you divide that by 2 hours. That's 2 hours a book divided by 2. That's 28 books you've read in a year. It's crazy. These are numbers. And if I dive compare it to a university, you probably had about 3 years of school in 1 year by doing 10 minutes a day. It's crazy town. That's it. And all you're paying is $14-$19 a month for Audible, and you listen for 10 hours a day, 10 minutes a day. That's it.
And how is what you do 10 minutes a day? Is that your?
Yes,
okay.
all I do. That's all I do.
Where do you normally fit that in your daily schedule? Morning thing?
While I'm driving the car, going to a appointment or pick up my daughter from school before I go to bed. That's it, just 10 minutes a day.
Sure. And what advice, tactics, or strategies or tips do you have for the business owner that they're running their business, they're speaking as a function of their business, they're looking to kind of protect their capital, and they see real estate as a very solid option? How do they go about protecting their capital in real estate?
Okay. Well, I would say the wealthy, we don't park our money. We have what's something called velocity of money. How fast can I go from A to B? So I'd say first and foremost, you probably will have a retirement of some sort. I would get the money out of the 401k IRA arena because it's tied to the stock market, which is tied to the treasury and the bond market, which is crashing. This is when you should have a wealth management plan. For what I do with our money is we place our money within a life insurance contract because of the fact that it's an investment tool for us. Now, why would I put it in there? Very simple. I take that money and put it into a life insurance contract, right? And again, properly structured by a licensed insurance wealth manager. What happens is while my money is in that environment, it's making a 7 to 10% compound interest return. And it's protected from litigation. It's indexed, so it's not tied to the market. It has a floor and a ceiling of 10, so I can never lose the end of my principal. Now I have insured my money. Then what happens is, LaDale, how do I deploy my capital? Simple. You take a loan from your life insurance contract at a 3 to 4% interest rates, and that's simple interest. So you're netting 10, it's only costing you 4. So you actually, your gross is 10, it's only costing you 4, so you're netting 6, right? Money never leaves the environment. I'm just taking a loan out of there, then I make my investments. So I insure my capital first, then I'm going to make the real estate investment. Now, for me, when it comes to real estate, I buy properties below wholesale. Whenever you're in an inflationary, happy economy, that's affecting the consumer. That's bringing you the money. I don't think it's wise to pass that cost on to the consumer because they're bringing you your capital. They're bringing you the profit. So I become more of a negotiating hawk. So I want to buy below wholesale. I incur that cost on my side and become more aggressive on negotiating. Buy below wholesale, get it at a good price point, increase the value of the real estate, right? That shelters me from when there's a correction, I'm already at the bottom. So I won't feel it at all, period. But at the exact same time, I can increase the value, then go to long-term debt, right? Get my capital back out, put it right back into my life insurance contract, and it's costing me nothing.
It's like magic, giant game. Is
The
there
banks do it.
Yeah, exactly. Is there companies that I guess are at the forefront of these kinds of life insurance policies?
Sure, I'll give you a couple of them. PHP is a good company. People that's funded by Patrick David, good friend of mine, team. Also Thrive Wealth Solutions. Two guys I'm gonna mention to you guys is Deontay Blade Ford. He's one of the wisest guys I've seen structuring these type of life insurance contracts. And Brandon Anthony Clark. Those are probably the two wisest guys. Matt Sapala, he's with PHP. He's a good friend of mine. He's very good at structuring this. Him and his wife, Sheena, that's well. And so those are probably the two entities that I would really say go to. If anyone wants to talk to them, let me know. I'll push you their way. Oh.
Awesome. And then you were mentioning building the legacy for your family with real estate. I was watching some content a few months back about how the Rockefellers structure their trust and life insurance policies, and how I'm totally butchering it here, most likely, but every person has a life insurance policy, and the payout is to the trust of the next person of kin, and then it goes to their life insurance policy and that kind of thing. How do you leverage life insurance policies for your legacy of your family, or do you not at all?
I do. We use life insurance to fund business models for our kids, to pay for school, because it's tax-free. It incurs tax-free. I don't like sharing profit with Uncle Sam if Uncle Sam did do any of the work. Do you? I try to find everywhere I can not to pay these Bamas. Legally through my CPAs, because they give so many incentives for you to do that. The government does not want to be in the building business market. They want to create the environment for the entrepreneur to make the investment to begin to build business, because that then generates taxable income. That's what they want to do. So, okay, no problem. I'm just going to get with a good CPA that we can walk through how I can take all the write-offs I can, which is great. Like, for instance, Grant Cardone, he actually did a flex with one of his business models. He had to write off some taxes because he actually made a lot of income, which is great. And he said, I need to buy something. And the CPA said, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. So he said, you know what? I could buy a jet. Dude went and actually bought a jet to have a huge taxable write-off, and he got it. Donald Trump, Grant Cardone, you'll be amazed at how many multi-billionaires actually had to get a tax return, a refund every year. I do every year, and I own millions of dollars worth of real estate. Every year I get a tax return from the government. Why? Because I can. Because I understand the tax laws. That's it.
Is there a difference between a tax strategist and a CPA?
Yes. A CPA is someone that they can put together a tax return. They're a certified public accountant. Keyword is accountant, that they deal with just your books. A tax strategist is different. They'll say, and I give you an example, because I actually am interviewing one of them now to potentially partner with. We're doing the development in Starkville, Mississippi. Well, the current administration, the Biden administration, actually has a lot of green energy stuff there. So he'll say, okay, what materials are you using for insulation? Are we looking at this? He said, use this insulation because you can get a $10,000 per home tax write-off.
Wow.
A CPA won't know that, but a tax strategist will. How many trees you putting in the nation's wall? Oh, a lot of trees. Great. Put these type of trees here because the Biden administration is giving this tax credit to do this. And the tax credit may be 50, 60, 70, 80 grand per deal. So all of a sudden now I've made millions of dollars tax free because I acquire low, increase the value, refi to long-term debt. I'm just paying off old debt with new debt. So that cannot be taxed. So that's tax free. But I'm also getting tax incentives from the government as well because of my tax team. I can also put on to my tax return, and I can defer that 2, 3, or 4 years if I need to.
That's interesting. And so I was talking, I'm curious to hear your opinion on this. I was talking it's actually a business conversation we were having, but he was telling me about Tesla and how one of Tesla's actual main products is carbon credits that they sell to other companies like GE and those kinds of things, because they have, that's what they build basically. They're just building Teslas which generate carbon credits, which companies, need to kind of leverage and purchase to, I guess, off-put their emissions. What do you know about those kinds of things and the possibilities of leveraging them?
Yeah, I think Elon Musk is one of the wisest investors on the planet. That's the reason why he's on the top 3, 4, 5 wealthiest people on the planet. That's not by accident, it's for a reason. I actually encourage every business owner, whether it be small, mid to enterprise, take advantage of all the tax incentives that you can. For instance, there's a so-called wealth tax coming that's been pitched in California and also at the federal government. I'm never afraid of those things because I have a team around me. First, I'll give you an example. Let's say right now, there is a case in front of the Supreme Court called Moore versus the United States. What actually happened there is there's a retired couple in the state of Washington. That local government or state government actually taxed them unrealized gains. In other words, they have an asset on the balance sheet and it increased in value. And the government says, we want to tax that delta there, that increased value. Well, of course, the more like, wait a minute, that's just a paper gain. I haven't accepted that cash. The 16th Amendment is very clear. They taxed them. So what actually happened was they appealed it up to the Ninth Circuit of Appeals. The Ninth Circuit, which is in California, said the government can do this. Because the government was saying in the 16th Amendment, the word income also included unrealized gains, which is incorrect. It's a lie. So they had to appeal it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, they actually received it. And right now they're in front of the Supreme Court. They should be ruling on this one in the month of February. And it's over the word income. So it's all it's over with. So something like that, people would say, Dale, you scared of that? No. Why? I utilize different investment tools. Why? They may say, well, Dale, couldn't they tax you on unrealized gains? Yep. But because I have all these incentives for the federal government, they all gets eaten up. I'm good. Simple. I have a strategy. Most investors don't have a wealth strategy. They have a business strategy, but not a wealth strategy. Those are two different strategies.
Love it. Well, I know we've almost gone over here, and I appreciate your time. Any last message you want to share with aspiring speakers, professional speakers, TEDx speakers, business owners that speak as a function of their business to grow it? Anything you want to share with them?
First, I say, guys, if you're not following Ryan, you're a moron. Follow Ryan, guys. This has been a great interview. One of the best I've been on because it's asking informative questions that generate a dialogue, right? And he'll question some things too, which is good. If you're in the echo chamber, Ryan's not the guy. He's going to ask you these tough questions. So Ryan, thanks for the interview on this one, brother. And number 2, I would say, don't be afraid to present value. That may mean you having to talk with somebody. Don't be afraid to talk. You are one decision away from changing your life. Just one. You're one connection away, one text message, one email, one DM away from changing your life. For instance, Dan Martell, he closes a lot of his deals via text messages over the phone. That's normal. I close deals just on text message. Hey, how much you need? All right, wire's coming. I don't have to get on the phone line, but again, text messaging. That's it. And so don't be afraid to share value. Again, currency always follows value. If you present value, you'll never be broke ever again in your life.
And if someone wants to be in contact with you, send you that message, where can they find you?
All social media platforms, guys. My name's at LaDale Buggs. I'm on all platforms. I do respond. It's me. It's not a bot or AI person. It's me. And if it makes some sense, if you need a phone call, great. And I tell everybody, check out our cash flow club. You can go to any of my platforms, go to the link there, link in the bio. You'll be able to see it. I'm trying, when it comes to real estate, let me educate you on how to invest in real estate. Let's get the bag together. I'll bring the capital. I'll bring in the intellectual property. Let's go ahead and do the training on an actual deal and watch when you get that first check with a comma behind it, that things begin to change.
Thank you, LaDale. I'll wrap it up here, and thank you all for listening. Cheers, y'all.